Vice President Kamala Harris was heckled today at her book tour, and I need you to understand that this is not what you think it is. You think that this is promoting recognition of her errors and the Gaza policy of then President Joe Biden, right? But if you consider the video that I'm going to attach where it says that the president has influence even against the theory that they are independent over the administrative agencies, historically an inherited presidential influence into the DOJ and to the Department of Defense and to the Department of State, right? Much less into the DOJ. They kind of let that be much more independent. But the Department of Defense, Department of State, why? Because unless it's forbidden, is it not allowed? Because unless there is actual rules and regulations that forbid them from actually having control over the administrative agencies, then obviously the president is capable of having that. And historically speaking, they've done that when it comes to military and when it comes to foreign relations, right? This isn't specific to one party. It's just something that presidents have inherited and think that they have a right to do because they haven't been told otherwise. With that recognition, when Joe Biden decided that there was no evidence of harm in Gaza, every single entity under him, including the vice president, had an obedience to him. What kept Harris alongside him wasn't just an inherited policy that America policy is, pro-Zio, but it's also that the president was unconditionally supportive of this to the reality in which he made it so that the TikTok abolishment came directly from him, even though it was an idea that predated him, right? This is positioning a foreign influence in the presidential that literally rotted away at the core of every single other person who, through professional ethics, had that obedience to keep his agenda, right? And contrary to the immense power that Vice President Dick Cheney had during the, 9/11 era, vice presidents do not have the power to actually have control or demand over the narrative or agenda that is from the president. So if you want to blame anyone for her policy, it is actually Biden policy. And the fact she was running for president didn't mean that she was capable of cutting that. And the fact that she technically could doesn't mean that there wouldn't be consequences if she did. Particularly the fact that if the black female president is the one who went against tradition and went against the president, that means that black women cannot be trusted to be in politics, right? I'm not saying that I believe that. I'm saying that that's something that can be argued if she went against tradition. Already, they're saying, well, we shouldn't put any person of color, especially any black woman, up because obviously people aren't going to vote for them, right? That's a democratic take from this, that we shouldn't platform women or black women, right? And I'm saying that not as Democrat individuals, but as the establishment, right? The DNC, that is the strategy. And I want us to stop putting so much heat on Harris when in fact, I'm not even a lawyer. I have legal jurisprudence background that is non-lawyer. And in fact, I can recognize that for her to have a background in litigation and to being capable of positioning the rule of law above that of her duty as vice president to the president, that must have been something so disastrous because myself, I could not ignore my relationship with the rule of law has been broken. And you can tell that for her, the relationship between her and government is broken. That's why she said that she wasn't going back into government because she didn't expect for the system to cower, and it did. Right? So let's be, I guess, much more intentional in where our hatred and criticism the policy is, and it's not towards Harris. It is towards the establishment Dems. It is towards a foreign country that seems to have some leverage over our country. Is it the files? Is it something else? Ultimately, it is 9 million people controlling 340 million people and even sucking out our taxpayer money. And that isn't Harris' fault. That was inherited because even if you blame Citizens United, the 1948 creation and then that dedication of, congressional support to it predated Citizens United. So it can be corporate personhood, which is something that happened even from the 1800s, right? But ultimately it is a foreign takeover, and that isn't because of Harris. It's because of capabilities that a president inherited that they had that really made it so that they became an ambassador for their interests, including donors, and those donors could have foreign influences, and therefore we're now where we are.